Good morning, everyone, and welcome to RGIT's listening session, Business in Times of the Corona Pandemic, Perspectives from Outside the Beltway. My name is Daniel Andrich, and I'm the President and CEO of RGIT, the representative of German industry and trade. We are delighted to have you join us today, and let me start by saying that I hope all of you are staying safe and healthy in these challenging times. A special thank you to the companies who have generously offered their time today and participation. We here at RGIT aim, as probably all of you know, to deepen the transatlantic economic integration. We do this on behalf of the Federation of German Industries and the Association of German Chambers of Industry and Commerce. RGIT has been in Washington, D.C. since 1988. A large part of our work aims to highlight the positive contribution of German companies across the US economy. Our annual project, German Business Matters, offers a state-by-state analysis on job figures and trade. In total, German-owned affiliates in the US invest more than 470 billion US dollars and employ more than 770,000 people. US-German commercial relations amount to 187 billion US dollars. In these challenging times, we hope to facilitate exchange between the transatlantic community here in Washington, D.C., around the US, and back in Germany and Europe as well. Today's listening session will serve this goal well, with the participating companies providing insights into how businesses outside the Beltway are dealing with the difficulties of the current crisis. With that, I will now pass the spotlight on to Christoph, RGIT Senior Director for Regional Economic Policy and World Bank Liaison, and moderator of this listening session today.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your welcome remarks. I also would like to welcome every one of you today to our listening session. Thank you for joining in. And of course, I also would like to thank all of our speakers who are willing to share their perspectives today on their current business environment in their respective region. So as you can see here, we have a total of 8 companies. And we listed them regionally, starting with the South, then heading over to the Midwest, and ending with the Northeast. We designed the listening session in a way that each of our speakers will have around 5 minutes to share their insights. And as I mentioned, it's a listening session, and but we also would like to give you the opportunity to send us questions and comments. And for this, we would like to invite you to send us an email and follow up with us if you have any questions afterwards. So we are very excited that we have these 8 companies, and we are looking forward to hearing their perspectives. And without any further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Kirk Atkinson, the President and CEO of the abatAdah Group from Birmingham, Alabama, to kick off our session. Please, Kirk, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Christoph. Just again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to speak today, and for RGIT for providing this forum. Starting out, we're an industrial consulting company from Bremen, Germany. We have offices in Alabama, South Carolina, and Michigan. We're focused on SAP development and implementations mostly, but we also do operations planning and optimization, especially for logistics and manufacturing industries here in the States. So first and foremost, I can report that all 40 of our employees in the US are still healthy, and that it is our top priority to keep them healthy and safe during this time. And we're going to extreme measures in doing so. Our parent company in Germany is also doing well. They have around 400 employees, and I believe so far many of them are on short work, but they also have been able to retain somewhere around 60% of their existing projects. So I think we are only down around 15% here in the States in our current project work. All new projects have unfortunately been delayed, but we expect them to come back and full capacity, if not even more. Most of our existing customers are long-term, and therefore they trust us to work remotely. And as IT consultants, we have that luxury of being able to work remotely. We're used to working remotely, so we didn't really have to do much of a transfer for that. There wasn't a big learning curve for us on that, and the hardware and software were there. Everybody has laptops, for example, that they take home that I know a lot of companies don't enjoy. And although working from home is difficult for our consultants, it's still easy that we can be able to remote in and get work done. We're even finding some new opportunities, such as in old tech. We've been asked by a couple of our government customers to look at COBOL programming. There's not many COBOL programmers out there anymore, and we have a team in Germany for that, and some local support here, project manager support. So dusting off old languages like that is actually kind of interesting. And then some of our customers have also asked us to look at some old shelved projects that they just couldn't get done during normal, over capacity production. And we've been able to as we use the analogy of, paint the ceiling, clean out the garage, so to speak, those things that we know we've been putting off, that we can get done when there's not production. But looking forward, we hope that we're in the worst of it now. We think that we are. We think we're at the apex, and that we can start looking at coming out of this. Again, protecting our employees is first and foremost, but we think that we can have a strong return, hopefully starting next month, maybe into June. Things will start normalizing around the end of the third quarter, and we are hearing, and this isn't just me, these are some economists in our area are telling us that we should be prepared for a strong fourth quarter, and definitely first quarter of next year. And that if we, some of the stronger, proponents of that idea have said, if we're not preparing for that rebound in the fourth quarter, that we might get left behind. Companies might get left behind in that. So that's kind of what we're looking forward to there. We lastly, we have looking towards government incentives for the losses that we do have so far. We don't know if we are eligible for those as a majority-owned German company. I think 70% of the U.S. company is owned in Germany. So some of those eligibility requirements are definitely confusing to us, and we're trying to figure that out. Not just us, our attorneys and accountants as well. And we're trying to navigate that system now for the support that we need going forward. And hopefully that'll line up, that we can clear that up when we need to. Other than that, the very last thing is that we think that that to be a little candid here, we think that our government could do a little bit of better job in preparing for things like this by asking the industry what they think and how they act during times like this, so that we can have a little bit more of a plan going forward for downturns like this, because I don't think that this is going to be the last one that we'll see. So that's something that we're trying to push forward towards. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirk. These were exactly 5 minutes. I'm impressed. And with this, I would like to invite Alan Zwickel from BESTAR. He lives in the New Jersey area, but his company is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. Please, Alan, we are looking forward to listening to you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Christoph, and nice job for Kirk. I want to thank the RGIT and all the people who've taken their time to come out or sign on anyway and listen to what we have to say. So BESTAR is a key supplier of specialty steel products. We're involved in all aspects of manufacturing. Our customers are in the food processing, medical products, paper and packaging, lumber, tooling, and we work with customers all over the world. BESTAR is the only company in the world that is specialized in this niche area when it comes to saw blades, industrial knives, tooling, and we're either a major or sole source supplier to many of our customers because of our expertise in these markets. This especially relates to the United States, where there are no steel manufacturing companies that can offer the grades, the product forms, the high-tech products, or the inventory in a way that is comparable with what we do. And we really stand alone in these markets. As far as COVID is concerned, we have offices around the world, including our headquarters in Remscheid, Germany, and our offices here in Atlanta, and then we also have an office over in Hong Kong. So we had exposure to the virus with several of our customers in China right from the get-go, and we were immediately developing protocols for potential outbreaks, not only in Hong Kong, but also in Germany, and then of course here in the United States. Fortunately, the bulk of our sales force already works remotely, so we had the infrastructure established where the bulk of our employees, 70 around the world, are able to work on a remote basis, and we just expanded those protocols so that we can shift to alternate shifts where necessary, and everybody became basically a remote workforce. One of our biggest concerns going forward is what happens when things start to go back to normal. What are parents going to do with younger kids if schools don't resume? Or even going into the summer months, what happens if camps aren't open? So we're looking now at ways to address these types of situations. From a business standpoint, we've done very well because of the diversity of our product lines, medical products, paper and packaging, food processing. None of those industries have gone away. If anything, they've gotten stronger, maybe with the exception of the lumber industry. But as Kirk said, our forecast long term is that the end of the third and fourth quarters are going to be very strong. And I'm very happy to say our inventory is in a position where we will be well positioned for it. Our biggest concern and what Washington can do, of course, because we're in the steel industry, is related to tariffs. Just as a brief overview, we've applied for over 600 exemptions since this whole thing started, and only a small percentage of them have been rejected or I should say objected to by U.S. companies, because nobody really makes what we do. Each one of these exemption requests represents anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes of work to apply for each exemption. So as you can see, we're putting in hundreds of man hours of work, which is costing our company and our customers extra money, especially in a time when money is tight, and of course people are applying for government support wherever they can. But if we could get even temporary relief for the tariffs, boy, that would be super, super helpful for us and our customers. So I think from looking from Washington outside, in the base manufacturing for the United States, that's one of the ways that it could really be helpful to get this economy back on its feet. And that's about all I have to say.
Thank you, thank you, Alan. Thank you for your insights. And with that, we stay somewhat in the south, and we are going from Atlanta or New Jersey over Atlanta to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we are going to listen to Heiner Dornborg, who is the CEO of Groninger USA.
Thank you, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Charlotte, and I hope you have the same. Groninger is a global leader in building fill-finish packaging machines for the pharmaceutical, cosmetic, and consumer healthcare industries. Imagine long lines of machines where an empty syringe, vial, bottle, or similar is filled, then closed, labeled, and so on. I'm sure you have been a recipient of medications from Pfizer, GSK, Sanofi, and others, or you've bought things over the counter. If it's liquid, it's very likely it was filled with one of our machines. We have two international headquarters in Crailsheim, Baden-Württemberg, and Schnelldorf, Bavaria. And our machines already now fill medications that are deemed essential in fighting the global COVID-19 crisis. Groninger USA, established in 1997 and located in Charlotte, provides North American customers mainly with new machines, of course, but then also spare and format parts and field services. We currently have 62 employees in Charlotte and partially outside in Maryland, and they are active in manufacturing, sales, assembly, engineering also, procurement, after-sales support, and field service. So far, we can say that our internal operations were only minimally impacted. Luckily, we were quite well prepared. We invested in mobile computing equipment already last year, so it was fairly easy to shift about half of the company to work from home. The other half is either in manufacturing or directly related and is still here, of course, neatly physically separated. We have seen actually an uptick in orders in spare parts and format parts so far. Customers worried that supply chains may eventually be impacted and decided to buy parts now that they know they will need later. And that is actually a global phenomenon. Unfortunately, in some cases, this surge in orders led to longer lead times. Our field service, unfortunately, is impacted in the opposite direction. It's down to about 20% of pre-crisis level. Customers are concerned that visitors could mean increased risk of infection, and we have therefore approached our county now several times with requests for access to proactive testing for virus or antibodies, which would give our customers, most of them essential to the healthcare system, more confidence to bring in our people. We have also started to offer service during the weekends and reduce the related rates, which will support our customer social distancing efforts. Some of our jobs are so complex, for example, new line installations, that we can't do without an expert or two from Germany. Large projects, and also including essential pharma companies projects, are currently halted because we struggle to get those specialists into the country. New machine sales are likewise currently severely impacted. We have received verbal awards, but customers then, need to protect their cash. They are waiting to see if priorities might shift, etc. The new machine business also suffers from the fact that in-person interaction in sales has come to a complete halt. Trade shows are postponed. Sales visits aren't happening. Instead, of course, we are using video and phone conferences, but to be honest, I think we all realize that does slow things down. We have applied for loans under the EIDL and PPP programs as a result of these severe impacts. Looking ahead, we are looking at the situation as an opportunity, of course. We are using any additional energy and maybe also time that we have to sharpen the saw. For example, we are looking at significantly accelerating our expansion of our local scope. We will, for example, make more pharma parts in the US in the very near future. We anticipate, based on everything we hear from customers, that in the second year we will see a catch-up rally. And for sure, there will be an increased level of investment in US-based manufacturing of pharmaceutical and consumer healthcare products. It will reduce this country's dependency on manufacturers outside, and it will also be necessary to adapt existing machines to shifting needs. What can Washington do? Of course, we would like to see the lifting of the restrictions and return to usual freedoms ASAP. Of course, as soon as safely possible. That is the basic request. Energize the industry. I would like to point that out. Please send the message to everybody to not slow down. Everybody, I think, wants the previous life back, wants to go back to normal. So if you want that, then please act normal. I think it's really important. I'm a bit worried that we are creating a self-fulfilling prophecy by everyone saying, it's probably going to go slow, and that's what I'm preparing for. And then, of course, last but not least, make sure that the companies who have requested loans like Groninger will receive those loans. It will make a big difference in maintaining employment stability and ensuring a speedy recovery. That's what I have from my end. Thank you very much for your interest, and I'm honored to be able to share here.
Thank you, Heiner, for your insights. And we are staying in the South, and we are going to South Carolina to Vincenc Pearson, who is from DAA Draexlmaier. And okay, hold on. I just pull up the slide, the correct slide. And Vincenc Pearson is a corporate counsel for the company, and we're looking forward to hearing from him. Thank you, Vincenc.
Thank you. Thank the RGIT for sponsoring this listening session. I think it's very important that companies get a forum to discuss their trials and tribulations through this very, very trying time. And I also want to thank the audience as well for taking an interest in our plight, and hopefully we can give a good insight throughout the whole nation about how this is affecting everyone's various industries. And finally, I hope everyone's doing okay and that their friends and families are safe. And without further ado, I'll get into my subject matter. Draexlmaier, Automotive of America, is part of the Draexlmaier Group. We are headquartered in Vincenc in Lower Bavaria. And we have sites in about 23 countries and about 80,000 employees worldwide. So as you can see, we are a global company, and this being a global pandemic has a great impact on us and how we maintain our supply chains, how we schedule our production, how we manage shutdowns of our various plants throughout the world. And of course, with the shutdown, you have the inevitable ramp up, which is also a very, very complicated procedure. But the greatest problem that we've seen as in the automotive sector is that there are so many variables and local impacts, and also on how various local and federal governments deal with the pandemic. Of course, our number one priority is the health and welfare of our workforce, and also everywhere of the local communities where we call home. But it's very hard to plan a supply chain that's as complicated as Draexlmaier or the other companies where there is a shelter order in one jurisdiction and there's no shelter order in another. And then there's also very little guidance for the governments, globally speaking, not just in the United States, on what an essential business is, how you go about being declared an essential business, is there a mechanism dealing with this process? So there's a lot of gray in my world, and as an attorney, that's never really a good place for me to be in. And that is why I think when we look at this pandemic, we're looking also to the future of starting up production in our various locations around the world. And that's what I think we should really focus on, the lessons learned, or some lessons that we can learn moving forward that this pandemic has really highlighted. And one is that government coordination, not only with its state, local, and federal, if applicable, needs to be, I think, better coordinated. And also, the business community should also have a little bit more of an active role in this decision making as well. And we also need the appropriate guidance from various local governments on how to protect our workforce, how to go about being declared essential business. And then we also have to look at the social responsibilities that we have as a business to our workforce and our communities, how we maintain safe, especially in a pandemic situation, how we maintain a safe workforce, but also balance the business needs if we're declaring essential business in certain jurisdictions, and what are those ramifications for us as a company and also as our local, jurisdiction. And finally, incentives on a local and on a federal level also needs to be a little bit better clarified. It's very confusing, and it's a German-owned business as well. We're not too certain that we will be able to take advantage of a lot of these incentives. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to give you a little insight to my world. I want to thank everyone in the RGIT as well, presenters that came before me and after me. So thank you very much for your time and attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Vincenc, for your insights. And we are moving on now from the south to the Midwest. We are going to listen to Peter Riehle from Wittenstein. He's the president and CEO of this company in North America. Peter, we are looking forward to your insights.
Yeah, good morning, everybody, and thank you for having me here at RGIT. I'm glad to report what Wittenstein is doing. A little bit background for our listeners. Who is Wittenstein? Wittenstein manufactures mechatronic systems and components. What are these? They are used in systems, for example, company Gröninger is using in food and packaging, in medical, pharmaceutical, but also in subsea applications, also in aerospace. And we do a specialty here in the United States as well. We do flight simulators for US Army and US Air Force. Headquartered in Germany, near Würzburg, roughly 3,000 employees, 450 million euros in sales. And here in Chicago, we are the North American headquarters in Chicago, in Bartlett, roughly 120 employees. And we have two factories here in Bartlett. We manufacture 75% of all the products sold in North America, Mexico, Canada, and US. Here in Chicago, some of the products are still coming from Germany. How is the business in times of the corona pandemic? In one word, it's a challenge. I think it's all for us a challenge. Since we are considered, we as Wittenstein, considered an essential business, since our systems are used, especially in the food processing and packaging industry, and foremost, the highest priority now has medical applications. We are also in applications where these face masks and surgical masks are manufactured. And as gentleman from Gröninger just mentioned, we see also a certain uptick exactly in these industries to keep the supply chain going. And these machines are produced at a very high pace right now, especially in the medical industry, especially face masks and protection gear. So these are our main focus. Our production is still going. We have here two buildings. I mentioned that we have 15 high-tech machine tools we produce here in the United States for our market. Number one, safety for our employee is our highest priority. And as you can imagine, that will impact the efficiency of our production, since we had to split the teams in production to avoid any cross-contamination and put all the safety measures in place to avoid any shutdowns you will have if you have 1 or 2 infections immediately. So it's a very sensitive item, especially in production. Offices, I think we heard that from previous speakers as well. We were able to work from home offices, all of us, most of us, especially application engineers, design engineers. They are working remote or in virtual trainings with our customers, engineers, and design with them new machines, prototypes right now, depending on the industry, or immediately help out in troubleshooting new applications. So we were able to switch here very quickly within the last 3 weeks. We also changed our webpage for our customers in that regard, so that we offer 3 times a day virtual seminars with our application engineers to support our customers here in North America as well, because we assume they have to work from home too, and we have to say it's working great. Challenges, we have challenges, and we heard that also from BESTAR. We use a lot of aluminum here in our factories in Chicago, and the tariffs are a burden on us. Tariffs are making our products much more expensive, which we cannot move forward to our customers here. So we have to eat it up. It goes right in, cuts in the margin, especially in these days where cash is king. It's a burden. It was always a burden, but now it's magnifying that. That's where Washington could help, that we get relief of these tariffs on steel, aluminum, on raw materials here, because we manufacture and can still employ and support our customers. The second challenge for us is the supply chain. We have 2 parts still coming from Germany. We cannot manufacture yet in the United States. And everything is air freighted now, and the price went up 4 times because of capacity constraints, and we have to keep that supply chain going. It's a challenge on a daily basis. It's still working, but it's difficult. As I mentioned already, pharmaceutical is up, food is also up. Other industries are down, so we see an impact right now, the last 2 weeks, substantial impact from the machine tool business, from other businesses, semiconductor. In total, we are in 35 industry segments here, but still pharmaceutical, food processing, food packaging, we see demand, and we see also an uptick coming if the Corona pandemic is over. So we are preparing our company already for the time after Corona, because we see that through Q3 and 4 there will be a high demand in our products, and there will be a rebound. So we are preparing that as well in all our scenarios. What we don't stop is our apprentice program. We still move forward with that. The DIHK program, the Industrial Consortium of Advanced Technical Training, that's an investment in the future. We will expand in the United States. We will produce more in the United States. We have to make our company even more independent of our headquarters or the supply chain. I think that's a clear signal. Was always for us clear, but now it's accelerating that process. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attendance, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Riehle. We are staying in the greater Chicago area, and we are moving on with our next presenter, Mr. Christoph Sitzer. He is the CEO of Simon Hegele Healthcare Solution Group. Please, Christoph. Oh, Christoph, I guess.
Sorry, I was
you need to unmute.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for having me here on this panel. It's a pleasure speaking about our company, especially at times here of coronavirus. So Simon Hegele, Healthcare Solutions, what we do, originally we are rooted from a typical 3PL logistics company based in Germany with over 2,500 employees, roughly 300 million euros in revenue. And I'm responsible for our healthcare group for Americas and Asia Pacific, headquartered here in Chicago in the suburb Wooddale, close to the airport. And what we do is basically we provide logistical and technical services for manufacturers of medical devices. So in other words, we ship and we technically install CTs, MRIs, X-ray machines, cancer treatment machines in hospitals for all leading manufacturers of medical devices like Siemens, GE, Philips, you name it. We have here in the United States over 80 field engineers, and they're currently working in hospitals to install the equipment in critical conditions. And we, compared to others, don't see necessary right now a decrease in our business. Is more like a shift in our business. As you can imagine, hospitals accelerating installations, especially for systems like computer tomographs or fluoroscopy X-ray machines, which are used for diagnosing of COVID-19 patients. And bigger projects like, for example, the installation of magnetic resonance imaging systems, short MRIs, will be more pushed to later in the year. So we see this, or hospitals actually, I have to say, they reacted to this quite dynamic, and certainly we as a service provider have to do this the same. I think, as any few of my other panel members mentioned this before, the whole pandemic certainly is very concerning and is for all of us a challenge, but I also think there will be some positive coming out of it. First of all, I think in general, the healthcare system will be different than before the pandemic. That's absolutely sure. I think in general, you will rethink more about as a manufacturer, but also as a government or as a hospital, to think about, okay, can I really rely on a supply chain of critical products mainly out of coming from abroad, or do we have to have more production facilities here in the United States, for example, or in other markets as well? So I'm talking about in Asia, I'm talking about for South America as well. So I have a feeling that that after this pandemic, the term of a global supply chain will get a much more regional aspect because of just simple risk diversification. But let's talk also about some concerns. As you can imagine, and Peter mentioned this before, we certainly suffer also, or see a shortage of transportation capacity, and especially also interruption in the international supply chain of medical devices into the United States, but also into other countries, especially the increased bureaucracy hurdles we have seen to get medical supplies, even N95 masks. It's unbelievable. And here you can also clearly see that there's definitely a lack of coordination between federal administration and state administration. So I wish that would be much better managed going forward, because it is not that we basically import those products for fun. It's basically for customers treating patients. And I think also that we have a huge amount of field engineers traveling around, and the different, let's say, travel restrictions which we have, and they are very, very difficult to manage for especially a small company like us. What I'm hoping that we are able, with the help from the government, to keep talented workforce on the payroll. So far we have not laid off any people. We have reduced some hours, but at the end of the day, we really try to minimize this, because as a lot of other people say, to the end of the year, we see a huge wave of business coming our way, and we want to be prepared for that. My biggest concern right now, and I want to end with this, it's basically I see a huge amount of people will be released to the market of unemployment, and they typically don't have healthcare insurance. That will be a problem for the future. I'm hoping we're going to find a solution for that, because I think we all will see that will hurt us in the long term. With this being said, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Christoph. And we are coming to our last speaker in the Midwest, Mr. Stefan Heffner. Let me pull up his slide. And from Richard Wolf. And please, Stefan, he's the Executive Vice President and based in the Chicago area from the company of Richard Wolf Medical Instruments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christoph, and thank you very much for the invite and the chance to share our experience with the audience in the actual situation. Richard Wolf MSC is the biggest subsidiary of Richard Wolf, our German-based mother company in Knittlingen in Baden-Württemberg. We are here in the US since 1972, so can look back to many successful years. We do work in the health industry, so we produce, service, repair, and sell minimal invasive surgery products like endoscopes and hand instruments and all the necessary equipment for imaging. So we are in the hospital every day, or let's say we were in the hospital every day. So our main focus is in general surgery, urology, gynecology, spine, imaging. We do also have a small technical division for borescopes for aircraft turbine maintenance. Our actual workforce here in Vernon Hills is 224 employees. We do have production, sales and service, marketing, administration, regulatory affairs, and so on. In addition, we have nationwide roughly 120 independent sales reps, the so-called 1099ers, who are really heavily dependent on Richard Wolf MSC and the whole business. So we are also active in the RGIT apprenticeship program. We have 4 apprentices at the moment, and we're very proud of it. What happened since, let's say, mid of March? Richard Wolf MSC is considered as an essential business as we support the healthcare network. So far, we have roughly 1/3 of our folks now working remotely. We still figured some technical issues as we are using the German-based VPN connection. This is pretty much solved, but it is very difficult for some of our folks to work from home, and they are missing the interaction here in the office. So the other, let's say 1/3 works in the field. They struggle a lot. So at the moment, hospitals are not allowing sales reps service to access the building, DORs, which is completely understandable. Elective surgeries, which is our main portion, are pretty much canceled around the entire nation. 1/3 of the folks over here, so the employees, work in production field or on paid sick leave or another absence. So we pretty much keep the company running when it comes to production and to receiving, shipping, so to keep our customers able to perform the procedures every day. As you can imagine, our customers have been hit hard, and so we've been hit hard as well. With the elective surgeries cancelled, surgery centers closed, the focus is now on the fight against COVID-19. With having 17 million less people with health insurance, I guess there will be another effect to the entire system. So let's see what comes up after we won the fight. So we saw a significant decrease of incoming orders and revenue starting mid of March. So we've seen roughly a 30% decrease for March, and right off today we see roughly 50% of decrease of our business. For our personnel, we had no layoffs, no furloughs so far, but we also applied for the loan under the Paycheck Protection Program last week, and we're still waiting for an answer. So I can tell you we are actually in crisis mode. With the travel restrictions, let's say worldwide, we have canceled all national and international travel. Again, as we are not able to enter the hospitals, and all sales and consulting services are on hold. So international, we have a few colleagues over here on e-visa. they would not be able to get back. This is somehow pain because we're actually in a phase of production transfer. So this means we want to shift more production from our German-based headquarters to the United States, which is on hold at the moment as we have no chance to get the experts back and forth, both here as well as also in Germany, as they would have to quarantine for 2 weeks as soon as they get back. We only allow essential travel by car if a hospital or surgical center requests support during a procedure. So this means we also do not allow our folks travel by aircraft at the moment. And we have restricted all access to our building for our sales reps. Supply chain issues. So we have a shortage in flights that results in nearly quadrupled rates for shipping. So most of our products come over from mostly Germany by air freight. We are running out of PPE, so we donated a big portion that we had over here. So we run a lab as well. But right now, I mean, most of our folks are requesting PPE to work here in the company as well. What is important to say, we're actually also in a phase to start with a new product where we are in the FDA approval process. We would have to run a usability study. But actually, due to the COVID-19 situation, we see no chance at the moment to get physicians into the building, or at least together in a bigger group. So we hope this will be overcome in the next couple of months. What we need, or what the recommendation would be, it's not about us, it's more about, please look at the healthcare providers in the future. They will need the support, at least in the same way as we have seen it for the entire industry in the United States. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan. And so now we are moving back kind of to closer to Washington, DC, to Mr. Joe Peilert. He's based in Pennsylvania, Fombell, Pennsylvania, and he's the president of VEKA North America. Please, Joe.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning, everybody, and appreciate the invitation from RGIT to share my comments, and certainly have enjoyed the statements from my fellow panel colleagues. I hope you're not tired of listening to German accents, so I'm going to be the last one sharing insights here. A little bit about VEKA. VEKA is a family-owned business, about 1.3 billion globally. We have 800 employees in the United States. As mentioned, we're headquartered just outside of the great city of Pittsburgh. We have additional plants in Texas, in North Carolina, and in Nevada. So we're one of those hidden champions, those German Mittelstand companies that have become a global market leader in our niche. And that niche is the design and extrusion of final window components. That means that our business is roughly split between the new construction market and the renovation and replacement business. So we are producing the vinyl components to build windows. Our customers are window manufacturers. We also produce fence, deck, and rail. It was actually pretty interesting for us to engage with our employees as well as the community, because initially they didn't understand why we are classified as a life-sustaining business. And so we made quite a bit of an effort to explain how we impact in a positive way the situation, and that is mainly around providing people shelter. And homeless shelters, for example, for several states, including California, have been provided, are in the process of being delivered to have homeless people find shelter, and they include our window profiles. I think also important to recognize that we have the ability to respond to natural disasters like the recent hurricane in Nashville. There's quite a bit of rebuilding activity going on, and VEKA products are part of that. So that was important to convince our employees and our community that we are indeed life-sustaining and essential. That was very important because social media, we got some questions why we are continuing to operate. And we're happy to report that to date we have no positive tested COVID-19 cases. We have about 95% of our office working from home, but our plants are all fully operational. A couple of comments that RGIT wanted me to touch on. Travel restrictions. The main downside for us, we had planned on taking our customers to a major trade show for our industry in Nuremberg, which is a great platform for us to introduce new technology. That was canceled, so that is inhibiting us. On the supply chain side, we really have not encountered any major issues. There's a minor component of a material that we're purchasing, but that was addressed early on. That came initially out of Wuhan, but we found a different source. In terms of the stimulus package, if you have over 500 employees, clearly there is a different playbook and somewhat limited. Helpful for us certainly is the deferral of payroll taxes. From a cash flow point of view, that's excellent. The new unemployment benefit package is actually somewhat concerning to us because it has created an incentive for people to quit their job because the gap between especially entry wages that would be in our case around $13 plus an excellent benefits package and what people can earn in unemployment plus the $600 is getting pretty close. And I recall a conversation that a customer of mine had shared where an employee said, listen, I'm just going to quit because I don't see why I should work in this situation. And you're going to take me back anyway because it's tough to find people. And he said, well, when you come back, unemployment is going to be 15% and I'm going to have choices. So you better think twice about this. So that's an interesting dynamic. I think it would be better if we would have more support to keep the jobs in place, even if we're not subjected to the dramatic downturn of business that is currently the hurdle. Because our business, we're anticipating Q2 to be between 30 and 40% down, then a recovery in Q3 with maybe 10% and then returning to normal business conditions in the fourth quarter. So we also share that belief that there's a significant rebound in place by the end of the year. A couple of comments about how other government actions have impacted our business. One thing in Pennsylvania here that was very challenging is that new regulations were released at very bad times during the day. They were released either at 5 p.m. or on weekends, and that really impacted us as a 24/7 operation. It didn't give us the time to inform our employees. That created a lot of confusion because some of those regulations became effective 6 hours later. I think there is work to be done around the essential business definition. It needs to consistently include the entire supply chain. And I'll give you an example for the window industry that we're active in. There's a small component that's called wool pile that helps with the seal of the window. And we needed to write letters specifically to explain that that is all part of the supply chain required to build windows and ultimately to provide shelters. The appeal to the government here that I would like to make is allow us to run our business, set the bar high for health and safety standards, inspect them if you like, but let us run our business. We take great pride in taking care of our employees and providing tremendous benefits, providing a great safety and health policy. And based on that, we're confident that we can do our part, providing a safe environment for one, and second, an income opportunity for the families in our community. So with that, maybe one other comment on definitions of life sustaining. You can tell it's a big topic for me. Homeland Security's direction isn't always consistent with what local and state regulations say. So consistency there, I think, is very important. Those were really all of my comments. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today, and wish everybody a healthy and safe day.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe, for your insights and sharing your perspectives. With that, we have reached the end of our today's listening session. I would like to thank all of you speakers for taking the time today, for sharing your perspectives, how you are dealing with the current business environment in your respective region. We really appreciate a lot that we had the opportunity today to learn about your challenges in these unusual times from companies across the United States. And you know, RGIT, we are part of the network of the German Chambers of Commerce abroad, the DIHK in German, and we are supported by the German Ministry of Economic Affairs. And we would like to take the chance to thank the German American Chambers of Commerce in the US for their great partnership. Thank you. And I also would like to thank our audience who virtually joined today for your huge interest. We had almost 120, no, we had 120 listeners joining. And you all stayed to the very end. I can see this here. So thank you for your great interest, and please feel free to contact us anytime virtually. You see here our contact information, and please feel free to write to us. And hopefully in the near future, we are going to see each other in person at our physical address at Connecticut Avenue. We are looking forward to that. Thank you all again. Please stay healthy and goodbye.